Annual Academic Achievement Report.
We're going to go right to Dr. Spiller.
Going right to Dr. Spiller. Good evening.
Good evening, Governing Board and Cabinet members. My name is Dr. Lynn Spiller. I'm Director of Research and Evaluation, and I have the pleasure to talk to you about the Arizona Learns A through F labels and the legacy labels. Our objective today is we'd like to celebrate the ADE release of the embargoed district and site letter grade labels. They were supposed to be passed out in July, and they weren't passed out until October 12th. We'd like to talk to you about the timelines of the transition from the legacy to the A through F labels and provide information on how the A through F labels were calculated. So this slide actually comes from ADE, and it talks about looking at the future Arizona Learns evaluation versus the legacy or the old evaluation. So in the future, the LEAs will be evaluated, so they'll actually get a letter grade. And in the legacy system, we did not receive a designation from the state to the district level. 50% of the evaluation on the A through F will be based on student level growth, whereas before it was 30%. 50% will be on the growth of the students in the lowest 25 percentile rank at each school. And we used to get like extra credit. It actually was the 30-70 model from the previous legacy calculation. So now the grades will be A, B, C, D, and F for the sites, where the legacy was excelling schools, highly performing, performing plus, performing, underperforming, and failing. They're going to phase this in, so they just started talking about it in July 10th. We got a new math test. October 20, this October, legacy and the A through F labels were sent out to the sites. Since we had a new writing, or the writing test is scored with multiple choice items, it wasn't used this year in the A through F or the legacy labels. Next year, they're going to give us legacy and A through F labels, and they'll be using the test scores from this school year. And then July 2013, they will have phased out legacy totally, and they'll only be using the A through F labels, and it will be used for school and district, well, mainly school accountability. So this site, we're very excited about the legacy labels, which show that we now have 8 performing plus schools and 1 highly performing school. So that's quite the celebration for the district. What I've shown you is the labels over time. So you can see, for example, Mackin went from failing to meet the standards to being a performing plus school very quickly. Any questions about the legacy labels?
Dr. Spiller, I might have missed it on the last slide. How long are they going to do both?
Just next year, and then in the year 2013, it will be only A through F.
Thank you.
What I do is I took the point totals for the legacy labels just to see over, they were in place quite a while. What we're looking for, of course, is a positive trend line. So from 2000, I think it's 2008 on, we see a very positive trend line at each of our sites and for the district overall for the legacy labels. So as these labels go away, and we'll move on to the Arizona Learns A through F labels. So right now, Biltmore Prep Academy is our A school. We're very proud to announce that Biltmore Prep Academy is an A. We have 4 B schools, which is Creighton, Monte Vista, Papago, and LCK. The district overall had a B designation, and Excellencia, Mackin, Loma Linda, and Gateway are C schools. What I put down below, the A, B, C, D, right here at the bottom of the slide, are actually the cut scores for the points, so that you can see that Biltmore Prep Academy was right on 140. They were actually 139.5, and they rolled up. We were very happy to have them as an A school. And Gateway is like at 103, which is really close to the cutoff between a C and a D school. So we always like to look at the point totals to just give us a good idea of how this, how the school, help them out if they need more support. I also did it in a graphical form so that you can see how the sites compare to each other on their point totals. So we have the 1A school, we have the 4B schools with the district, and then the 4C schools. So any questions about anything about the A through F in that area? So I'm just going to talk a little bit about how they calculate it. There's 200 points possible overall. 100 of the points come from half is the growth of all students on a percentile rank calculation that's provided from A to E. I know you've heard about the Colorado growth model. That's the calculation that they're using there. And then they also give us 50% of that 100 points possible comes from the growth of the lowest 25% performing students. On the other side, there's 103 points possible, and it's from what is your percent passing on AIMS. For this year it's reading and math. In the future it might be reading, math, and writing. And then it's also, you can get 3 points if you have greater than 30% of your English language learners have reclassified in that current school year. So that's a total of 200 points possible. What's interesting about the growth score is they aren't taking the mean score, they're taking the median score of the students. And that causes a little bit of problems with me and my pivot tables. I can only do mean, I can't do median, so it's just a tiny little problem for me. And so then they just add those two together. On the composite score, we're looking at the percent passing on AIMS. So I sort of turned writing a different color because they didn't use it this year, but they probably will use it next year when they have when the test has proven that it's a stable assessment. And our ELL target is that we need to have a greater than 30% reclassification rate for the students at a site. So this is what the cut scores look like, and they also gave us some impact data. So it shows in the state, 16% of the schools are A schools, 25% were B schools, 32% were C schools, and 27% were D schools. So we saw that impact data. I could see how large that D group was, and I was really nervous about when the labels were going to come out. So I was very excited when they did come out. But I thought maybe you'd like to see some comparison to the sites, districts around us. So what I did was I looked at all of the partner districts that feed into Phoenix Union just to see how we compare. I calculated how many schools were A, B, C, or D schools. So you can see that Creighton has 11% of our schools are A, 44 are B, 44 are C, and 0% are D schools. And you can see that many of the districts around us did have D schools. So we're just so pleased with the success of our schools. On this chart, I did the stack bar chart to see the percentages of the schools that are the A, B, C, or D. You can see that Creighton is there. We don't have any D schools, so we have no red in our stack bar graph. So as we look at it, I say, well, who do we look like the most? It's really nice to just compare. We're starting to look like Alhambra, except we're better off because we really don't have a D school. I always put them up as one of our districts I compete with. Not me personally, but the district. You can see, Madison doesn't have any D. They have quite a bit of A schools, and they don't have as many schools as we do, though. So we're just so happy to see that we don't have D schools. Any questions about this slide?
When I read about this in the newspaper, and the day it came out with the letter performance, we're talking about a few schools that received like Ds that were performing or performing plus, because the idea of the growth wasn't there, but the knowledge was. To get the performing or performing plus, but they didn't have the growth that was needed.
They're really two very dissimilar formulas, and they didn't predict the performance. Your performance on the legacy did not predict your performance on A through F. So we did a prediction study trying to see what we might look like, I actually thought we would have greater growth on our lowest 25 percentile rank because we have such a significant RTI process in place for reading, but because we didn't have that same focus on math, that's actually why we didn't meet my prediction. So we're really excited about our math programs this year, that we feel we'll see quite an increase in our point totals for next year. I did want to point out that Biltmore Prep Academy is in a very rarefied group. There's only 8 schools in the central Phoenix area that are an A school, and they're one of them. So I thought that was really quite something to celebrate. They gave us an explanation of the cut points. There are different ways. There's actually methodologies and statistics of how to do these cut scores. I'm not sure that AD actually followed those because they look a little bit artificial. There's sort of a set way that they did it. But what they were trying to say that an A school would be equal to a school that has 90% of the students passing and achieves typical or greater growth with its population of students. So as we look at those cut scores, we're really looking forward to seeing our schools move into the A and B area. So your question might be, well, how are our sites going to use this data? So we're going to train the principals this Thursday in our Leadership Academy on pivot table training so that they can actually verify that what their percent proficiency rate was and what their percent growth rate was for all students in their lowest 25 percentile ranked students. I'm going to show them their ELL reclassification rate because that's an easy 3 points to get every year. It really makes a difference. And then we want to really identify for this year those students that will be in their 25 percentile ranked group so that they can make sure. We have such a very ambitious RTI program. I'm positive they're already receiving an intervention. We just want them to take a second look. So I just provided some of the pivot tables of what it looks like when they work on it and how they can verify their data. I just feel that, and what I just guessed at was that they just raised their math scores a little bit, what might our distribution might be next year. So, we're already looking forward to implementing a really strong program for next year. So any questions about the Arizona Learns labels? All right, well, if you see anybody, tell them, good job on those A to F labels, because we're very happy with this first labeling session.
Thank you. Okay. Next we have the personnel queue.